in response to the ongoing childcare crisis, the DC Council has approved a program that will send $10,000 checks to childcare workers. And this is really, really good news because there is a childcare crisis, partly because childcare workers are sick and tired of being underpaid. On average, they make about $12 an hour and do need to have specific training and credentials to be childcare workers. And so they're deciding not getting paid enough for this, not worth it. And because of that turnover, because of that shortage of childcare workers, childcare expense, the expense of childcare for parents has gone up tremendously during the pandemic. And I'll get to those numbers in just a moment. But first, a little more detail in regard to this program. So what they're doing is the council raised taxes. Smart, very smart. So the council raised taxes on the city's highest earners last year, and the members voted at that time to set aside $53 million in the first year of that tax to somehow raise the pay of daycare workers, saying that their work was vital to the city's families, but not sufficiently compensated by their current salaries. And they were right about that. I love the way that they carried this out. Hey, why don't we raise taxes on the highest earners? They can afford to pay their fair share. And we redistribute that money in some way to the childcare workers to make up for the fact that they're severely underpaid. Now, at the time when they had passed this proposal to raise the taxes on high earners and create this $53 million fund, they didn't know exactly how they were gonna send that money or get that money to the childcare workers. Were they gonna fund childcare centers and encourage them to raise wages? What were they gonna do? They didn't know. But now they've decided for the first year of the program, let's just send them $10,000 checks. And I love it. I think that's the most efficient way to do this. I think it's the smartest way to do this. Just send them the direct checks. Now, childcare workers in the DC area would need to apply for them, and then the money can be sent to them either in payments or one lump sum. This year, to make the workers get the money quickly, which I think is really important, the council is going to give the payment directly to any eligible daycare worker who applies for it. Workers who are or who care for babies and toddlers will be eligible for checks of about $10,000 or even $14,000, depending on whether they work as assistants or leaders of daycare classrooms. I absolutely love this. And look, this has been an ongoing crisis. I mean, it was an ongoing crisis prior to the pandemic, and it was further exacerbated during the pandemic. In fact, PBS did a fantastic documentary about this that'll help you understand the gravity of the issue in more detail. Let's take a quick look.
The pandemic has revealed a lot about the childcare system that perhaps people didn't see before. How fragile it is, how low paid the women doing this work are. But I'm not convinced that people really understand the disparities and pay gaps that exist in the childcare system.
More than 90% of childcare workers in the US are women, and just under half are people of color. On average, they earn only $12 an hour. Most do not receive benefits, and about half are on public assistance.
And so when there is a shortage of workers because they're underpaid and they're not gonna take it anymore, they might move on to a different career path, then there is a short supply of childcare, which parents desperately need in order to go back to work, namely mothers. And that has been a huge problem during the pandemic. Since there's a shortage of childcare options right now, mothers can't pay for the childcare, which means that they can't go back to work. And so it has a domino effect in the economy. This next clip explains that in greater detail.
A lot of women, when asked directly whether or not childcare was a factor, we found that upwards of 25% of those who lost their job said it was solely because of childcare.
And even though the economy is recovering, many women still can't return to their jobs.
It's definitely the case that the lack of childcare is holding the economy back from its full potential. The degree to which childcare is holding us back compared to other factors like the lack of vaccination or the spread of the Delta variant, that's really hard to say. But we do know that the lack of childcare is certainly holding individual women back and also harming their families in terms of the loss of income.
And the incredible thing about all of this is that on one hand, you have lawmakers, namely GOP lawmakers, arguing that we got to get people back to work. What's going on? All right, all these people who haven't gone back to work yet, what are they doing? Just sitting on their butts, like not wanting to work? Look at these couch potatoes. Look at these bums. But these are people who don't have very many options when it comes to their children, because we are the only developed nation that absolutely abandons parents after they give birth. I mean, we abandon parents before they give birth. During the pregnancy process, we don't even really offer much support. But you can't have a functioning society where on one hand, you want to force everyone who gets pregnant to carry that pregnancy to term. That's like the GOP dream. You want to force those mothers to go back to work, but you don't want to offer any support in regard to childcare. How does that make any sense? And then to make matters worse, you'll have proposals from the federal government that would require funding, right? So Biden's Build Back Better agenda tried to tackle childcare, but we would need to raise taxes on the wealthy, right? In order to pay for those kinds of programs. But the wealthy, meaning the business owners, the executives, the shareholders, all of those people, they don't want to see their taxes go up, but they want all those workers back at work. You guys see that tension, that endless conflict in this insane, broken system? What are the kids supposed to do? What are the mothers supposed to do? It makes no sense. So I'm really happy to see that at least on a local level, the DC Council is pushing for something that could actually be a fantastic solution. And not only would it be fantastic in terms of solving a crisis that's ongoing, but it'll be a case study that we can point to in so many different ways. Look at this. Raising taxes to ensure that the wealthy pay their fair share can help us fund these programs that help ordinary workers to make life easier so they can go to work with no fuss, no muss, not have to worry about where they're gonna put their kids. And what I love is that they're sending the checks directly to the workers. Do it that way. That's the best way to do it. All of these weird, like, let's go around in circles and maybe we fund this and then maybe we fund that and maybe we give the money to the employer. No, just give it to the workers. Just give it directly to the workers. They're underpaid, you know they're underpaid. Why get a middleman in there? Just send it directly to the workers, and that's what they're doing, at least in the first year of this program, and I love it. So some good news out of DC. Hopefully this kind of thinking takes off in other local governments, but we'll see about that.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.